Mm-hmm. All right. So today, what I want to talk about is essentially firm. All right. The reason why I want to talk start with this is now you understand that it's all about firm behaving in a certain way, especially when we talk about markets, we talk about this competition. The most fundamental unit of it is essentially firms. So I think it's a good starting point that you at least understand how firms, at least theoretically, behave. Um, Suppose that you are studying in business school. This is something that you will learn at the very beginning as well. We need to understand how um, firm make decisions. What is the what is the objective, and what are the constraints? Okay. So last time we talked about this competition law, and you know that there are so many goals of competition, right? We want to maximize competition, but the question is, what sort of competition are we aiming for? Are we saying that we wanted the resource to be with someone who can't utilize it the most at the moment, or you believe that you would like to promote this dynamic, and you want to give rewards to firms that okay, once you stimulate competition, um, you can sort of guarantee that whenever entrants want to come in, they can enter the market without much constraint or much burden. So that is the sort of the difference between a static and dynamic competition, right? But also we need to set our objectives as well. That we would like to maximize welfare. We've learned about welfare already, right? And essentially, welfare means that if it is consumers' welfare, it essentially means that a consumer pay the price lower than they are willing to pay, given the quality. Or the other way around is this: you can pay the price for the quality that's higher than the quality that you are expecting, right? You get something that is better than you expect to get. That is consumer welfare. On the other way around, you also, a very important part of an economy is producers, right? Producers would like to, naturally, they want to sell a certain product at the highest price possible, right? But some of them would be willing or would be more than happy to sell at a certain price. And if they can sell in the market at the level price is higher than they can't, then they will get the what we call producer surplus. And that's the other side of the same coin, right? So if you try to push the price down, and that is something that's preferable from the point of view of consumers, but it will come at an expense of the producers as well. So there's always a sort of trade-off, and sometimes you just say that okay, I want to maximize the total welfare. I don't want to put too much weight on consumers because I believe that if the and that is logical, right? When you talk about producers, if you can promote their welfare, producers are essentially owned by human, right? Producers are just like okay, if you the owners of the business, you're entrepreneurs. If you can gain profit, you will reinvest, and when you reinvest, it means that you would be expanding, and when your firm's expanding, then you would have to hire more workers, and when you hire more workers, you pay more wages, and these workers are essentially consumers as well because they would have to eat, they would have to buy stuffs, right, for their living, and eventually that would indirectly help consumers as well. So you cannot just say that okay, I want to push the price down as much as I can and ignore the fact that if you do not let firms to grow, if you do not let firms to be profitable, then eventually the income of these consumers will be pressed down as well. All right, so that's the point. Okay, so I want to start with this basic microeconomics. Usually when you learn economics, could you tell me a bit about what you learned in your economic class when you were in your second year, I believe? What have you learned, or what could you recall?
Well, supply, demand.
I'm sorry. Yes. What is it about supply demand?
So supply is basically the willing of the ability of the seller, and demand is the needs of the buyer.
Okay, the ability of the seller, right? Ability of the seller. Okay, and the needs of buyers. Okay, and I mean, essentially they do interact, right? I mean, supply and demand, they interact. In which way? Would you?
Is there an equilibrium point?
Yeah, there is something called equilibrium, right? Okay, equilibrium. I'm sorry, what you were saying?
Oh, it's like the point where those two supply and demand meet.
Okay, the meet. Yeah, I think you are imagining this graph, right? That you have demand and you have supply here, and this is the equilibrium point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's essentially something in equilibrium. The meaning of equilibrium itself is what is the meaning of equilibrium here?
When the price is low enough to suit the demand, but also like high enough so that there can be supply.
Right. Yeah. So essentially, as a part of you, but you can say that in reality, we would never approach this equilibrium. It just basically doesn't exist, right? This is so influenced by physics. When you talk about it, a status where there is no deviation from a certain status quo. But it makes sense to a certain extent, in the sense that you can think of it as like a direction to which the relationship between suppliers and I mean consumers would be approaching all the time, in the sense that when the price is too high, it seems to be the case where suppliers or sellers or producers would be willing to sell more than demand is capable of purchasing, right? If the price is too high. So a part of these suppliers will need to reduce the price, and that will essentially make the price permitted. And when the price is permitted, basically the demand, the consumers will be more capable of buying more products. So that is sort of like, if you look at it from the dynamic point of view, it's sort of like showing the direction to which the movement of the market will be heading. All right. So let's talk about something that is deeper. Okay. You see that sort of demand and supply curve, and well, that seems to be quite straightforward. And I believe what you have learned is this. Okay, what if there is a shift in demand, right? Something stimulate the income of consumers. Then in every single level price, now suppose there is this many consumers who are willing to pay for the product, right? But suppose that the income, the average income in the country has increased. What would happen is the same level of price would have more consumers, right? Because these guys are richer. And that is true for every single level of price, right? That is true for every single level of price. So that is why the demand will be shifting here. And you will predict that, okay, the market price will increase as well. And that makes sense because suppose that everyone in the economy is richer, any product will be more expensive, right? In the sense that if you don't change anything else, because now for me, I'm more willing to pay for this product because I have more money. It's simple like that. Okay, so I think that that's something that you have learned already. But I want to take you sort of like a step back and then have a look at how we actually come up with all these things, right? The supply curve, the demand curve, what exactly is going on behind it. Okay, let's talk about the demand side first, all right? And demand side is essentially the choice that consumers have. If you look at the slide, what I meant is this: opportunity cost. This is so important, okay? When you learn economics, you would always heard the word that, okay, you are having zero profit. Firms are supposed to have zero profit. And the classic argument would be that this is not possible. How could firm get zero profit? Because that is something that's impossible. I mean, firm always have positive profit. And it is actually bad things that they want to have a positive profit, because how would they retain some of their income for their development? How would they reinvest and be growing, right? So that's the point. And this is probably the very first thing that I say, that okay, the cost in economics is different from cost in accounting. All right, cost in economics is different from cost in accounting. Suppose that your mom gives you a 1 million baht car for free, right? And there are two possibilities. If you use it, she promised that she will pay for gas, oil, maintenance, and insurance. So basically, you can use it absolutely free without any expense. Okay, this is a first alternative. And if you sell it, suppose that she allows you to, and then she will say that, okay, if you want to sell it, I will let you do it, and you can keep the money. All right. The question is this. The question is, it is really free if you design to use it, because if you sell it, that money will generate interest, right? Say the 10% a year. So now you have two alternatives, right? One alternative is you use it. You don't have to spend anything because she will cover all these expenses. The alternative is you will sell it. And once you sell it, you will get the money. Okay. And the money will essentially, if you get this 1 million baht, but let's suppose that you use it, you have a car, right? You have a car which is value 1 million as well. But if you sell it, you're going to get 1 million in cash. So essentially, these two things are pretty much equivalent, suppose. All right. In this case, well, some may say that these two are essentially the same. But it's not really true, right? Because if you suppose that you don't sell it, what you will lose is not just the money, which is, I mean, completely offset by the value of the car. But suppose this is the first year, then you would have to design again, right? You have to design again at the end of the first year, saying that, okay, I can still use it, or I sell it at the end of the first year. This is another choice that you have to make, right? But in this case, now you have this alternative. Suppose that you sell it for 1 million. Well, the thing is this: if you have this property, a car, the value will be decreasing all the time, right? Through time. The older the car is, the cheaper the price. So this 1 million could become just now the value, as I said here, if you want to sell it now, it's not going to be 1 million anymore. It's going to be how much? I say that the fall in resale value is 200,000, right? So now the value is going to be, she says 100,000. So technically we call that this car has 20% depreciation rate, right? And another thing is this. So what if you decide now, the thing is you would lose 200,000 automatically, right? If you don't sell it this year, that is the price that you need to pay. All right, that's the price that you need to pay, because the value of a car will not resume to be 1 million. You will lose 200,000. Okay, and sorry, the foregone interest. What does it mean? It means that suppose you sell it now and you put it in the bank for 1 year. You will get interest rate, right? You will get interest, which is 10%. That basically means that at the end of this year, you're going to get 1 million plus 100,000 because you put it in a bank and the bank will pay you interest. So essentially, if you decide to use it in the first year, what you have to forgo are this 200,000 and this 100,000. So the price of using the car is the opportunity that you've forgone, right? Which some of them is like 300,000. So if you would decide to use the car, you have to justify that, okay, you valued, okay, you might be able to generate something, right? If you use the car, you can drive to work and that will save you time. If you use the car, that is quite convenient. It will increase your productivity during the year. And if you can justify that, okay, by having a car, I would get a surplus of something that is greater than 300,000. Then now it is reasonable for you that you would decide to keep the car and not selling it at the very beginning. Because if you cannot justify this, it means that you are irrational, right? Because you should rather sell the car and get these two things, right? You save 200,000 from the devaluation, and you will get another 100,000 as an interest. Is this clear? This is opportunity cost, right? Because in terms of accounting, these two bits will not be shown there, right? This 300,000 just disappear. You will not put this down in your accounting anyway. But this is economic cost and this is opportunity cost, something that you have to give up in order to use the car in the first year. Is this clear? Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So the opportunity cost in this example will be 300K.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Is the opportunity cost of using the car in the first year instead of selling it. Right? Because, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So that's a very important concept, and please keep it with you to at least the end of the course, or better throughout your life. It's really important. It's something that you should really take into account when you make a decision in your life, right? You're gonna choose that I'm gonna work here. Pretty much what you need to consider is not that, oh, how much would I get, but you should really think of like, oh, okay, what are the other alternatives and what do I need to give up, right? So this is the idea of opportunity cost. Okay, and the next concept is, let's start from one consumers, right? This guy. that would be some sort of like assumptions on the way that these consumers make a decision. And these three things are pretty much the standard assumptions that we make as an economist to say that someone is rational. It's very simple, okay? Suppose that you have three things. All right. Suppose that you have three things. Let me put it in color. You have A in red, B in green, and C in blue. You can imagine it as like you are getting your new iPhone and you wanna have a case cover of your most favorite color. Okay. Can any of you just pick one? Like, which one is your most favorite?
A.
A. Okay. So A as number one first. And what is the second?
Let's go with C.
C. Oh. Well, sorry. Can we do it again? This is like the later part. What if I ask you to choose between A and B?
I'll choose A.
You choose A, right? So I will just write it down here like A, and you prefer A to B. This is okay. Just a symbol. And what about B and C?
I'll go with C.
What about A and C?
I'll be A.
All right. So I mean these are all possibilities, right? So if I put them together, I can say that you prefer A the most, you prefer C the second, and you prefer B the least, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The very fact that you can actually compare across all pairs, right? You didn't tell me that I cannot compare between these two pairs. Okay. No, not two pairs, but I mean these two colors. All right. You can do all of that, and that is pretty much complete, right? It says that you can, when you have choices in front of you, you can compare across all possibilities, all possible pairs. That is complete. And your preference is also rational in the sense that it is transitive as well. In the sense that, suppose that you say here and you say that I actually prefer C to A. Yeah, this is a problem already, right? If you look at it. Suppose that you say that I prefer C to A. It basically means that now you're, because now I can tell that okay, you prefer A to B, right? I'm sorry, you prefer A to C, but you also prefer C to B. So actually, without knowing this, I can say that you should prefer A to B, right? That is rational, right? So that, and it turns out to be true as well. So this is what we call transitive, right? This is transitive. And reflexive is just something that you use that you can actually say that okay, I prefer them equally. This is just in case you say that I can't choose, and I think A and B are pretty much equivalent to me. Or you can say the C and B are equivalent to me, and you prefer A to B and prefer A to C as well. That is fine as well, right? So by having these three conditions, you can say that the person is rational, which is not stringent of a condition, right? It just makes sense. Okay. So now you understand these terms already. Well, I would like to sort of like, okay, I'll tell you the big picture first. Otherwise you will lose in whatever translation. I would like this sort of idea is this. You have a consumer, right? You have a consumer and you want a consumer to be able to choose or rank among these like different choices of consumption. Yeah, they want to buy they know that they prefer banana to apple and they prefer apple to some other fruits. And you want to be able to say that, okay, I can choose between say banana and apple, right? I can choose that. Suppose that this is the level of happiness that I am in. For example, this is the level of utility. Utility, you can think about it as like the people choose to consume because we wanna maximize our utility, right? We design that we want to buy this computer because, well, it will increase our utility. We need to study, so we choose to consume it, right? But you just need one computer, maybe two computers for different purposes. But suppose that you already have two computers, and I ask like, okay, for the next one, I will let you choose between a computer and a printer. You say that I actually will go for a printer. So there's always a sort of trade-off, right? Suppose that you have a lot of Apple already, right? You have a lot of Apple already, let's say here, and I'm asking you like, okay, you have a lot of Apple already. How much do you think that you need banana in order to be equally happy as you have this bundle of apples? So let's say now you have two apple and two bananas, and I'm asking you, okay, what about I give you a choice that you would have like 4 apples? You think how many banana I should give you in order to make you sort of like equally happy as in the case of having 2 bananas and 2 apples? You understand the question?
Not really.
So suppose now in the box, you are like in the line to have this lunch box, right? And apart from the main dish, you're gonna get some fruits as a dessert, right? And now in the box say that, okay, you have 2 banana and 2 apples. But there's another box saying like, okay, here starting with 4 apples, how many bananas do you want to compare this basket to the previous basket that have 2 bananas and 2 apples? The question is, how many banana would you want? Given that now you have 4 apples already, just in one meal.
So I guess we don't need any banana, right?
Yeah, I mean, right? You don't need that many banana to be equally happy, right? Probably you need like a half banana. You might want to taste it a bit, right? So let's say that you will need half banana here to be equally happy here. And I can actually do all these experiments, right? Let's say I have 3 apples. How many banana do you want? And you might say that, okay, for 3 apples, I might need maybe 1 banana to be equally happy, right? All these things. And this actually requires this rationality at the very beginning, because now you can tell me that, okay, I can actually compare across all different possibilities, and this is consistent, right? So this is why if I keep having so many, like, I can keep doing this, right? What about 3.5 apples? How many bananas do you want? And you can somewhat sort of like having so many dots to the level that these dots become lined, right? And you can say that along this line you are equally happy. I'm equally happy. Or if you translate it into an economic term, you would say that along this, I have the same utility, right? I can get the benefit from it. All right. So this thing is called indifference curve. All right, and let me just continue the story, and we're gonna have a look at the slide, and you would understand what you understand what is written there. But are we good so far? Because this is so important. I wanna make sure that you understand and follow me.
So just to be clear, utility is the point where you're equally happy with the apples and bananas you have.
I should say that you have, sorry. Utility is essentially a happiness, right? You can say that I should write down the full version. Utility is equal along this line. Okay, does it make sense now? Because for any, you call it bundle, right? For any bundle of these things, you are equally happy, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So hang in there. It's you're gonna see like, oh wow, this is like the way you derive demand curve. And now demand curve will make so much sense to you. All right. So this is now you have all different bundles, right? That you find that okay, they are equally well to you. I mean, the utility is the same. But suppose that I ask you here, like, what about this thing? If you have more bananas and also more apples, would you be happier?
I mean, not always.
Or would it be slightly happier? Let's say I give you 3 bananas and 3 apples. Would you be happier?
Yeah, probably happier than 2 apples and 2 bananas.
Okay. Yeah, there's a limit. There's limits. But what if I compare? Okay, I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. You can have that limit as well. But suppose that initially you have 1 banana and 1 apple, and then I say that I'm gonna give you 2 bananas and 2 apples. Would you be happier?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is so suppose this is initial, right? 1 banana and 1 apple, and I give you like, okay, I give you a bigger basket in which you have 2 bananas and 2 apples. You say, oh wow, this is great. I can eat more, right? So suppose that that was a smaller basket previously, and you can follow the same logic, right? If you have 2 bananas already, maybe you don't need 1 apple to be equally happy as having this basket of 1 apple and 1 banana, right? So is it suppose maybe somewhere around here, right? And the same logic goes here as well. Like you have 2 apples already, you don't need that many bananas. So you would have this pretty much another line that you can draw, right? And along this line is you say that okay, I'm equally happy here as well. But you are less happy here when you compare to this blue line, right? Does it make sense to you now? Along this line are like different bundles as well. Okay. That essentially it doesn't matter which bundle it is. Yes.
So basically, the whole idea is that like the question is how many of one product can compensate for like the same amount of consumer satisfaction as a set amount of another product, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much a trade-off, right?
Okay.
Essentially you don't want too many of one thing. You sort of prefer to have a right combination of 2 things, and that's you can argue otherwise, but this is I think essentially quite a good reflection of our human behavior.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Yes. So you can think of this as like having like, well, you can use this framework to talk about like apple is like what you will eat today, and banana is what you will eat tomorrow. How much money or how much resource you're gonna put today, and how much resource you're gonna put tomorrow. And essentially, you don't want to spend all of your money today, right? Otherwise, you won't have anything to consume tomorrow. So you prefer to pay at the right amount now, right? So that is possible as well. But now we are talking about two products, just to get an idea here. All right. Okay, hang in there. Now it's like you are collecting these dots, and it's probably, this is pretty much a crash course in economics, and that I'm trying to do in hopefully in 1 or 2 days. But this is all important. Okay, my question is this: if this is the case, what will be your, as a person, as a consumers, what would be your sort of like behavior regarding this utility? Do you want to choose blue, or you want to choose red line? Which one would you choose as a?
I'm thinking, well, does blue line mean that it is better?
Yeah, it's you're happier, right? I mean, I'm asked. Yeah, so you choose blue, right? I think probably banana is not a good example. Let's say like this is like Prada, and this is like whatever, Hermes. Okay, and you see the point here that yeah, I'm happy to have like more pieces of Hermes, but my knowledge in this is really low. Are they substitutable, or which one is like clearly more expensive than another? I don't know. These two brands.
Well, Hermes is more expensive.
So what is an equivalence of Hermes?
Or maybe Chanel.
Okay, Chanel. Let's say this is Chanel. Okay, they're comparable, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's say, because I just read the news on the other day about Queen Bang's like handbags, and I've heard like she has like 200 handbags. So I assume that is probably a better example, right? Okay, so now we're not talking about bananas or apples. We're talking about Amazon channel. And if you can do something with this utility, what would you do? To be precise, would you go to that direction, or would you go to this direction? The first or the second direction?
Probably the first direction.
Yeah, you want to have more, right? Because the more you have these bags, the happier you are, the more utility you will gain. Okay. So essentially, but what will stop you, right? Otherwise, you can. I mean, you're gonna be like in Bang, right? You're gonna buy lots and lots of bags. Like you buy one, new one for each day. But what will stop you?
When I have no money left.
Yeah, you have some sort of constraint here, which is essentially money in your pocket, right? That is something we call budget constraint. Suppose that you have money in the pocket, say how much? Say that it's just enough for you to buy one channel, okay? One channel, and let's say that it is also enough to buy just two channels, right? Or is it just enough for you to buy 2 Hermes? Okay, how much is it? I mean, how much for? It's like million or?
Hermes is like million.
Okay, let's say you have just 2 million. budget available for bags. Okay, so can I say that suppose that they are, you can chop bags into pieces, or you can resell them or buy some sort of like stocks for its value or whatever. But let's say that the value is divisible into like not just one bag, but let's say 2.5 bags. More money to purchase Ames. It could be here, and it could be here, it could be here, it could be here as well, right? So this is your budget constraint. What it means is this. It essentially means that this is like the furthest you can go, right? Because you don't have enough money to buy this amount of Ames and channel. You don't have this enough money, this amount of money to buy channel on Ames. What you need to do is you have to be anywhere inside this area. Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you do? Do you want to push this sort of like the line, this curvy line, to be as furthest as possible, because that makes you happier and happier. But you can't, because you have this limit, budget limit. So what would you do? If you want to be happy as possible, given the amount of money in your pocket.
If we can find more money.
You can find more money. That's true, right? But also I can say that, well, given this current situation, probably the best thing you can do is to be somewhere. Sorry, is essentially to be. Sorry.
You mean be somewhere on the line?
Yes, somewhere on the line, exactly. So you want to be somewhere on the line here, right? And you know that the furthest you can go, the better you feel. So I suggest that maybe you find this combination the base you can go, right? Because there is a point in the line, right? There's a point in the line that you will basically spend all of your money, and you go furthest as possible. Because if you suppose if you choose this bundle, well, basically it means that you are just this happy, right? You are just this happy, which is worse than the green. Well, by the way, I didn't know, is any of you colorblind? No? Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yes. Because I use so many colors. You see the point here, right? I can choose any other combinations along this budget constraint as well. But that is the maximum amount of money I can pay, right? Because that is all money I got. But I want to be as happy as I can as well. So that green line is probably the best thing I can achieve. The pink will not, or any other points along that will not, because I know already that the further the line from this origin, the happier I am, right? I want to go further as possible. So can I say that this is probably the best thing I can do here, the green dot? Are you still with me?
Yes. So the green dot.
Okay. Well, so this essentially means, yes.
Not enough for, isn't green not enough for both Chanel and Hermes? The green
Yes.
line is still lower than both the red line and the blue line.
It's worse than, yes. It's worse than the red line and the blue line, but it is still within the budget constraint that you've got, right?
So it's like shifting to another brand?
Shifting to where? Sorry.
To another brand, because the both.
Oh yeah, you can buy something cheaper, right?
Yeah, but
Oh,
like when you
yeah.
said that this consumer we're talking about would like the furthest he or she can go is to go to the green line, but the green line is still not enough for both Hermes and Chanel. So in reality, if we apply that principle, does that mean that this consumer would shift to another brand, or like what is going on?
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But well, that is actually a really sensible argument. The thing is this: why do we need the sort of these two brands, right? Why do we need to choose just among these two brands? Could we just change our set of choices? Is that what you are suggesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But this okay. Just for the time being, this is sort of an assumption we make. Like, okay, suppose that he or she has to choose just like between these two brands, right? Um, well, essentially, is this okay? Well, you can say that, okay, if that is the case, then probably you would change from channel to something, right? Or you would just shift to other possibilities altogether. Well, that is possible as well, but just for the time being, let's assume that we have only these two products, because you can compare across any two products, right? I mean, from the assumption up here, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that's a good observation. I mean, that completely makes sense. Okay, so suppose you are here. But sometimes I wonder why do I need these many slides, because I'm gonna draw things anyway. Suppose that now, and this is a cleaner version, you have this budget constraint and you choose between channel and MS, right? And you say that yeah, I want to be here. This is as happy as I can. And this is the level of utility that I will get from consuming here, right? Because it's pretty much the same along the line. That is a technical term that we call indifference curve. Sorry. Which is, I mean, now it makes sense, right? Because because along the line you feel indifferent, you are equally happy. That is why it's called indifferent, because you feel indifferent, right? And let's call this a budget constraint. It means that you can effort any amount of channel, right? You can buy here, and this Ames here, yeah, you can afford that. You can buy this much channel and this much Ames, and that you can afford it, right? So that is why it is called a budget constraint. Any combination of channel and Ames within these constraint is affordable from your point of view. Okay. Ooh, sorry. Okay, let's sort of focus on this line first. We're getting there. This is so important, okay? Can I say that this is something I call my income? All right? And for any dots here, it's essentially a combination of two goods, right? Channel and Ames. Okay. Okay, give me price. How much it is for channel, for each piece of channel?
100,000.
100,000. And Amos?
A million.
Really?
Yeah, but we can go for
Why-
100,000.
Why do you say that they are comparable? Okay, so 100,000 as well. Nice. So this is the price of a channel in Amos, right? So tell me your income or your budget.
$500,000.
Okay, 500,000. Right? So thanks. I mean that makes my life much easier. So if you want to, because along this line, you pretty much you spend all of your income, right? You spend all of your income. Give me the number of like channel and Amos that you think you can spend all your income on. Any combination.
Maybe 2 channels and 3 MS.
2 channel and 3 Amos, right? Okay. And what if you want to? So in this case, if you want to spend all of your income on channel, it's going to be how much? You will be able to buy how many channels to spend all your income on it?
So you need to buy 5 channels.
Right. So this is like 5, and this is will be 0. So I can say that for here you're gonna get 5 channel, right? Because you spent all of your income on channel. You didn't. I mean, you didn't allocate any of your income on Amos. And the same goes for Amos, right? This is gonna be 5 as well. Okay, I want to keep track of this relationship a bit. So let's say this is the price of, okay, pick one brand that you want to have a demand curve of it. Which one is your more favorite? I mean, among these 2 brands, Amos or Chanel?
Let's go for channel.
Okay, this is the price of Chanel, right? And all right, now we know that the price is how much? Is 100K, right? And now we know that, okay, you won't spend all of your income on it, right? Because this is your indifference curve. I think here is essentially maybe somewhere that you are saying, right, that you will buy like, let's say this is like 3 MAs and 2 channel. Okay, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you buy like you spend all of your money on channels, probably you are not that happy, right? Because you see that utility is definitely lower than that utility level. So basically you say that, okay, I'm gonna get 2 channel for this, right? So now I can put 1 dot here saying that if the price of channel is 100,000, this individual, which is you, will get just 2 pieces of it. Okay, suppose that I want to know more. I want to know that, okay, what about if the price is like 50, no, let's say it is yeah, let's say it's 50K, but it has to be halfway here. Let's say that it's just 50K. Now the price would change, right? Now the channel would go like for 50K. Do you think if it is 50K, so what would happen here? If it is 50K, and I asked you the same question. Okay, what if you want to put all of your money on channel? How many channel would you be able to get? If it is now 50K, it's cheaper.
4 channels.
Yeah, 4 channels, right? Yes, 4 channels here, and 0. What? Oh, sorry.
And 3 MS, right?
But suppose you want to put all of your money, all of your income on channel. How many would you be able to have now?
10.
10, right? And 0. And Amos is the same, right? Because Amos hasn't changed its own price, right? The prices hasn't changed. right? You can still buy just 5 MS because you still have the same income. So what happened here is this. Now you can buy 10 channel, right? Because channel is cheaper. So your budget constraint will be this one instead of the previous one. Are you still with me? It makes sense, right? Because now you have more, it's cheaper. If you put all money in it, you can get more of it. And when it's cheaper, it means that the price of it related to the relative price of it when you compare it to MS is cheaper as well, right? 1 unit of MS can buy more channel. So what you have now is this. Okay, given this new situation, what do you think? Would you be, in the sense of would you ignore this fact and being on the same line here, or would you think you want to push it a bit further? What do you think? You want to be happier?
So the utility line will go further to the right.
Exactly, right? It will go here. Let's say go here somewhere. Right? Because now you let's say they are attached to each other, because that's the way, that's the furthest you want to go. So in this case, you can say that probably because now you, okay, there's some sort of technical issues here, but let's say that now you probably will be buying 5 channel, right? Right here you might buy 5 channel and maybe 3 MS as usual, or even more channels. Sorry, even more MS, but let's assume that it's the same. All right. So in this case here, if you keep track, it means that when the price of channel goes to 50, how many pieces of channel would you buy?
5.
Right, 5, right? So now you can say that, okay, if the price is 50, you would go for 5 pieces of channel, right? And could you imagine that we can keep doing this all day long?
Yeah, and it will be like a curve.
Yeah, it would essentially be but let me put it like, it will essentially be this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because the higher the lower the price, the more pieces of it you are willing to buy, right? And this is, I can call this your demand curve, the demand of channel of a person, of this guy called C, let's say. But in an economy, we have more than one consumer, right? We have more than one consumer. So we can do the analysis for Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. D, and so on. And for each of them, we would arrive at having this one thing, right? Channel. And we know that, okay, for every single possible level of price, what would be the level of demand that A would have, right? This is a channel that A wants. And the same goes for B as well. B would have its own demand curve as well, right? This is demand for A. This is demand for B. What we can do is this. Suppose we have this level of price in the market. Suppose there are just 3 persons then, right? This is the whole market already, right? And we say that, okay, the whole economy have 3 persons, A, B, and C. Okay, and I say that, okay, I want to know if it is 100K, how many pieces they want. You can do it by sum all the channels that each wants, right? Like, have a look here. Okay, 100,000 of 2 pieces for C. Okay, 2 pieces for C. This is from C. And then you have a look at demand for A, and you say, okay, suppose that this 100. And oh wow, by the way, A is relatively poor, right? So let's say that A would be able to buy just 1 piece. Suppose this is 1, okay? Then you say that, okay, if I add A into it, then it's going to be 3 pieces. And then you have a look at C, right? The same derivation as what we have done. 100. Oh, actually, B is quite rich, so it's going to be 4 pieces because he has so much money. His budget constraint is much further than the others. So you sum 4 to this, it's going to be 7, right? This is from B. And you can say now that the market demand is that if you have 100K, it's going to be 7 pieces of channel. And you can do the same for every single price level and summing all of these people in the market, right? And what you would have is this is demand curve that you put in the demand and supply curve. This is clear?
Yes.
So now magically we come up with this when you learn economics 101, you have this demand curve and supply curve, right? And you say this is the price of channel and this is the quantity of channel that you sell in the market. This line, this very line, is derived by the way that we have just done, right? You're starting from the behavior of one particular individual, and you assume that that individual would like to maximize or would like to be as happy as possible, but he or she has this budget constraint, right? Eventually, you can be you will be able to draw this sort of demand curve for each individual. And then you do that for every single one in the economy, and you will be able to come up with the demand of a market for a particular product. All right. So that's a Harvard term of the economics course in microeconomics. And now when you read all of this, you wouldn't find it to alienate anymore, right? Because this is okay. This sounds a bit complicated, but this is essentially the line that we draw, right? We say that okay, you are equally happy here, and X and Y are just like Hermes and Chanel, right? You put the number of Hermes, you put the number of Chanel, the amount of them, and you see the utility level. Well, that is just the way to represent it as an equation. And this is the same, right? You remember here that I asked you, right? Like how many pieces of things that you can buy given this is your income. You can represent this by saying this is your income, this is your good X, this is your good Y, and this is the price of X, and this is the price of Y. You multiply them, you plus them, equal. This is exactly equal to what I put in here, right? Your income, if you spend all of them, it's just equal to the amount of money you pay on these two products. And you have these two curves as we drew. You put them together. But this is like I think it's the best way that I well, it looks like something complicated, but it's so straightforward. You remember this utility curve, right? I say that along this, I am equally happy. What I meant by that is this. You suppose that I will give you like 10 Ames. Okay, sorry. Suppose I give you this amount of Ames, right? This amount of Ames. And this level of Chanel. So the further you go this way, this is 3-dimensional, right? The further you go that way, the more Chanel you will get. Okay, one caveat here. These things will not be in the exam or the report. I won't ask you about any of this. I just want you to at least have come across this for once in your life. Okay.
Thank you.
So just open your minds and don't feel like, oh shit, what if this appears in the exam? How would I deal with it? This is not something that I'm going to test. I just want you to understand it because it's so fundamental. And well, when you talk to economists, they won't know much more than you when it comes to this thing. Okay. Okay, so let's talk. Well, you imagine, you could imagine, right? What we have done previously is pretty much you look from above, right above and down here. You're gonna see this thing, right? This is your channel, and along this axis is pretty much the amount of your MS. If you look from above, this dimension will be gone, right? 3-dimensional will be just 2-dimensional. And what I'm saying is this. This is just the dimension would capture. The taller it is, the higher it is, the more utility you will get. It's just capture that thing. All right. So what you have here is what if you have a combination of like 10 AMEs, and I think this is 5 channel. Okay, 10 AMEs and 5 channels. This is the surface. If you put it up here, it could be somewhere here. This will be the level of utility. The height of it will be the level of utility that you get. Okay. And so you could imagine that you're folding a paper to be in this shape. And if you cut it, right? If you put like suppose that this is a level of like 10, utility of 10. If you cut the paper through this curve, it's gonna cut and make the edge of it will look something like this. The edge of it will look something like this, right? You imagine you have this like fold, like curvy paper, and you cut like by a straight paper. Well, it will cut through, and the edge of it will look something like this. And if you look from above, this would essentially go down to the blue line, because they have the same height at 10, right? They have the same height at 10. Well, this is supposed to be going that way, okay? Yeah, so this is essentially what it should look like, right? You cut through it, and this has the same height. This is 10, this is 10, this is 10, this is 10. That is why it is called indifference curve, because the height is essentially the same across all different bundles. And that is why when you look at it from above, you get this line, you get this curvature, because in 3 dimensions, it looks like this. If this makes it more difficult for you to understand, ignore it. Okay, but I think to me this is really enlightening. All right, and consumers optimum is essentially here, right? We learned this, and the economic optimum is here. When you talk about economics, you talk about the I want to maximize my choice. I wanna do as base as I can. So it's gonna be this. Economic optimum is determined by having, well, it's actually related to this, but let me treat it in a, okay. So far, are we good? I'm gonna shift to the new topic now. Are we good? We know where the demand curves come from.
Yes.
All right, that's great. So let's say that you, as an economic agent, right, as a consumer or even producers, you wanna do something that is like optimal to you. Usually, you're gonna decide that, okay, whatever I do, let's suppose that I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna invest in this project, I'm gonna conduct this activity, whatever. I'm gonna merge this firm. I'm gonna expand my size of firm. Well, that's the choice you make, right? You're gonna expand your firm, or you don't want to do that, or you would just keep the size of firm at the initial level. These are the things that you have to make decision, right? Suppose that you want to merge with another firm, which essentially will make your firms larger. All right. Well, suppose you want to merge. That would be two things, right? The benefit and the cost of it. Right, the benefit could be that you would get some synergy. You would learn from the new firm. Okay, you would acquire know-how from the firm that you merge in. You would get larger in scale so that you can use your machine more efficiently and the costs will be lower. Yeah, that sort of thing, right? And in that case, what you would do is, this is the benefit, but you would have costs as well, right? You would have costs as well. And suppose, okay, when you merge another firm, what is the cost of it?
Maybe you will have to acquire the debt as well.
Okay, yeah, you would have to pay that. And what else?
You will have more operation costs because you're getting bigger.
Okay, yeah, there could be operation costs. What else? But there's an obvious one that you still haven't mentioned. When you merge another firm, what's the first thing that you probably need to do?
Get a lawyer.
Okay. Yeah, you paid a lawyer. Yes. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, that is even before the one that I was trying to say. Yes. Oh, probably I shouldn't use the term merger. Let me use the term acquisition. Probably that's the reason why you didn't. You have to pay for the firm, right? It could be like buying stocks or pay for the assets. So you definitely have some money to pay as well, right? Essentially the price of the firm, the price of the acquired firms, right? Okay. All of these. Suppose now you design, right? You decided, okay, I'm gonna choose between two choices: acquire or not acquire. All right. My choice is like binary. Essentially, I'm gonna buy this firm or not. In order to do that, I say that okay, I will need to choose one of these two alternatives or these two choices. What I want to do is I want to choose in such a way that I will maximize this thing, which is you can think of this as total and total cost as well. The total benefit essentially means that okay, sum all of the benefits that I will get, right? This stands for total benefit, and this stands for total cost, right? Some order of the benefit that I would get from making a decision, and some of the cost that I would need to pay after I make a decision, right? So I can argue that you would choose the start. You would choose to acquire the firm until you reach the level where the marginal benefit of acquiring new firm is equal to the marginal cost. Could you still remember what it means by marginal benefit and marginal cost?
It's mean the additional benefit you get apart from for example, if you acquired one firm and you want to acquire the second one, the second the amount that increased from the first one will be the marginal cost, and what you gain will be marginal benefit.
Right. Yes. So essentially, let's suppose that now your firm is firm 1, okay, and you decide that you would acquire firm 2 already. Now you become like the same firm, and you would have to think that, okay, should I acquire the third firm, right? You would ask like, okay, what if I acquire? What is the marginal benefit here? Suppose that you're gonna get synergy as like 200, unit, whatever it is, right? Suppose you can calculate it, or you can use a proxy and saying that, okay, I'm gonna acquire, I want to have more laborers, and if I acquire firm 3, then I would have 200 laborers. But I would need to pay as well the marginal cost, which is essentially say that it's comparable to like the labor that I would get then. Suppose that I would need to pay a marginal cost of like say 100. Would you acquire the third firm?
I think yes.
Yes, right? Because now you would decide that because you get 200 and you pay just 100, why not, right? Now you have a third firm, and you would go for the fourth, and you make the same decision. Now let's say that the marginal benefit is 200, right? Suppose you get the same amount, and but as you mentioned earlier, as the firm getting larger, probably you have more operational costs as well. It is more difficult for you to manage. And well, the thing is now, let's say that the marginal cost is getting more and more expensive because the larger your firm is, the more expensive it is to manage. Okay. So now let's say that it is 200. Would you still merge it?
No, because we're not getting anything.
I think I would.
Why?
Because it's like you still like have what can I say? I think it's like you still benefit from what you spend. What can I say? It's like you still acquire another one, even the cost and the benefit is equal.
Okay. Well, it's I would say both of you are true. Okay. It is essentially when the marginal benefit to equal to marginal cost. Oh, this is something that's quite tricky in reality. But well, you can say that it's equivalent from is equivalent to not acquiring the fourth firm either, right? So well, you may acquire it, but suppose that you acquire it, and now you have 4 firms, right? And you decide that you're gonna acquire the next firm, which is identical to the fourth and the third. So you're gonna get 200. But now your operational cost will be greater, right? Because now your firm is so huge, and maybe your marginal cost will be higher than 200 already. As I say, it's 250. This is so clear that you won't acquire this firm anymore, right? That is why you say that the optimal condition as a firm is that you're going to keep your marginal benefit equal marginal cost and stop there. This is the optimal condition, which is okay. Translate the what it means by optimal condition means that this is the base condition you can be at, because if you still need to design. Okay, if you are here, you feel that I should not stop here because if I acquire a new firm, I'll still get more benefit than the cost, so I will keep growing. But if you are here already, suppose that you go to a certain extreme that you have acquired a fifth firm, or you have grown so huge, so large, to the extent that you feel that okay, now I'm a bit. If I decide that I will sell this company, then what I will get is it true that I'm gonna lose 200 of the benefit, right? Because I refer to number here, but I can save 250, right? Because that is something that I would need to pay by having this firm. So I would decide that yeah, I would do that, and I would just go back to having just 4. I mean the firm of the side of four firms, right? So you will step back anyway. And this is why it is called that the base thing you can do is to make that this decision is to be at the level marginal benefit is equal to marginal cost, because you don't want your marginal benefit to be smaller than marginal cost. you will reduce your activity or reduce the size or reduce whatever the choice you make. But if marginal benefits is greater than marginal cost, you will keep doing that until the marginal benefit is equal to marginal cost. Right? Okay. That's essentially the demand. And this is a really important concept. Okay, elasticity of demand. Have you learned it before when you did economics? Have you learned it?
Yes.
Okay, could you still remember it?
It's mean the sensitivity of the demand according to the change of like another factor.
It's a sensitivity, right? Which essentially means that, okay, if you translate that into practice, it basically means like this. In real case, when you need to make an argument, you are trying to say that, you know what, I don't have any market power. And I can prove that. It is because if I change my price just a little bit, people would just run away from me. Right? That makes sense, right? If you want to claim that you don't have any market power, you can't do anything. It essentially means that, you know what, if I just increase my price a little bit, my products become more expensive. People would just run away from me. And that's, I mean, the thing that you use to prove this is this elasticity of demand. On the contrary, if you want to prove otherwise, saying that, okay, you are having this market power, you can say the same. Look, if you increase your price by this much, people won't shift away from you. People still need to buy your product. It basically means that they don't have alternatives to turn to. This is why elasticity of demand is so important in practice. When you argue, when you pursue the case, when you try to argue that, yeah, I don't have any market power, elasticity of demand is a really important piece of evidence that you need to use. Right? Okay. So as you say, this sensitivity. What I put here is that suppose I tell you that I'll give a discount on a product for 10 baht. What do you need to know to determine the consequence of it on the demand for product?
The original price and also the actual price, the discount.
Right, original price, right? Original price. Okay, and the new price. Why do we know? Why do we need to know the original price of the product?
So that we can know how much it changed.
Well, because of what? Because let's say that I say that I want to change the price by 10%. Right? Suppose I want to change the price by, okay, let's say that I want to change the price by like 100 baht. I want to increase my product price by 100 baht. Well, that basically means nothing, right? Because if it's an iPhone, and increase the price at just 100 baht, it means absolutely nothing. Well, it might mean something, but it's so trivial. But suppose that we are talking about a dish of food, right? Like khao pad kapao. Essentially, what it means is that if you increase like the price of it by 100 baht, that's huge. That make a huge difference, right? It turns just one ordinary dish into like a very quite expensive dish already. So it doesn't really make sense when you say that you increase the price by 100 baht or 10 baht, because 10 baht could mean so differently across different kinds of products. That's why you need this original price, right? And when you plus this 10, basically you get a new price. Okay. And that's just from the point of view of the price, right? And what about the demand? Now you understand the demand already, right? Like given this level of price, how many level of demand in the market? What do you need to know about the demand as well?
Like how people will react to the discount, like whether they will buy more or buy less.
Right. Yes. So suppose that it is more expensive, and there are actually some kinds of products that when it is more expensive, people buy more. Right? There are some kind of products, but suppose that in this case, when the price get higher, you buy less, which is ordinary product. So what do you want to know about the demand as well? Because now you know the original price already, and now it makes sense already, right, in terms of price. What about the demand? Should you go for the same logic?
Yeah, like how many people were buying before when it was the original price.
So this is essentially the original demand, right? Original demand. You want to know how many units of demand. Let's say as the Yami is back again, right? How many? If you increase the price of Ames by 10 baht, okay, what would be the change in terms of the demand? Which is actually Ames is a bad example, because sometimes when the price increases, people buy even more, right? Because this is a luxurious product. If it's cheaper, people will buy less because you buy these things because they are expensive. But suppose, yeah. So you might want to know how many sort of like X units of, to be the new demand, right? So essentially, what you would like to know now is like, okay, I think the elasticity is essentially here. Now you have these two pieces, right? You have these two pieces. Now you know that, okay, the new price, the difference between the new price and the old price, right? And you want to know what is the percentage of that when you compare it to the old price, because I say it, right, the change of this going to be 10 baht, right? This is going to be 10 baht, but it could mean nothing if the old price is quite high, right? So what you want to know, if that change is accounted for, how many percentage of the whole price of the original price. Okay, this is good now. So here you sort of see the real magnitude of the change in terms of price. Right, you can call it like an impact of change in price, right? Because now you see that, okay, you see the change as a ratio or as a proportion of the original price. If it is like just a tiny bit, basically mean the impact should be small, right? But if for 10 is like, if 10 baht is like 90% of the original price, then the impact should be quite high. Okay, are we good so far? Because this is so important. I don't want to go so fast so that you don't understand it. Are we good?
Can you explain the impact of the change in price again? The formula there.
Yeah, sure. So let's put number here. Let's say that I have this two products, right? The first one is this rice dish, whatever it is. Okay. And the second one is this iPhone. All right, this iPhone. So you can say that, okay, what is the original price of these two? Right. The original price of this is like 30K. The original price of this is like 50K. Oh, sorry, it's 50 baht. Okay. And you said, okay, there's a change in price, right? This I say I give a discount, but let's, yeah, you can think of it about having discount as well. Let's say that I have a discount here for 10 baht. So you minus 10 baht both, right? Okay, just here. Which one would have more impact?
The food.
rice.
The rice, right? Yeah, thank you. So rice would definitely have more impact. So what if I want to, what is the base way that I will represent that impact? Because I mean, if I represent the change alone, they are essentially equivalent, right? Like discount 10, the same. But I know intuitively that the impact of these discounts are different across these products. What is probably the best way to represent it?
The percentage.
The percentage, right? I can say that, okay, this 10 is, this 10 is account for how many percentage, right? It's like 20%, right? This is essentially 20% discount. But this 10 is just how much? I think it's like 0.3% or something. How much is it? Calculator.
0.03 infinite 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it's just, and I that is why I call this thing as like an impact, right? Because if this is so trivial, it's nothing. It's like 0.033%, but this is like 20%. Wow, this is quite big, right? You see it here, and when this is the case, then I now know already that what was the impact in terms of price, right? And I want to know how. So that's, I get the magnitude of the impact already. Okay, I get it, a magnitude of the impact in terms of price already. And I want to know the impact in terms of demand. And it's essentially the same, right? Let's say for now that, okay, this is the demand nil, right? This is you understand the formula here already, right? This is just like the new price. Which is compare impact to impact. So again, if you consider this example, right, you think the discount of this would how much unit of demand will be changing? Suppose that the original one is this. Let's say that this shop can sell this for 100 iPhones, and this one would have been sold for 100 dishes a day as well. So suppose they have essentially equal demand at the very beginning, and when you have this discount, you think how many pieces of how many more dishes you will be able to sell? How many more dishes you people? Just assume one number. I mean, any number would do.
120.
You mean plus 20?
Yeah, plus 20 for the rice.
Yeah. What about iPhone?
Maybe like just 1.
Okay, 1. All right. So in this case, you can actually use the same logic as the price, right? That, okay, 20 is essentially 20 out of 100. So it means that the change will be what? Will be 20% as well, right? But here, the change is going to be just 1% for the demand. Right? So now I think we are ready to calculate it. Right? I want to answer this. Well, for each percentage of price that I change for a dish of rice, how many percentage of demand will change as a consequence? Okay, I'll stress it again. For each percentage of price that I change for rice, how many percentage of demand I will get? Okay?
It's 1.
Yeah. Is what?
1.
It is essentially 1, right? Because well, so basically the elasticity here for rice would be let me write it in black then. Okay, the elasticity or the sensitivity, you can call it that way as well. I want to say that the demand is actually changed by 20%, right? And I want to know, like, I would divide it by the percentage that I get changed in price. So this will become 1. All right, this will become 1. This is elasticity for rice, because this is pretty much what I say, a change in price, right? This is essentially the change in price, and this is essentially the change in demand that I will get. And likewise, for a phone, my elasticity would be, because change demand is 1%, right? And here you have 0.033%. You will see something quite surprising here.
Around 30.
Oh, so what is it? 30?
30 point something.
30 point something, right? Okay. Given this, which one is more elastic to price?
The iPhone.
iPhone, right? Why?
Because the demand doesn't change like easily, even with the change in price. I don't know if I understand correctly.
Why do you think so? Why do you think so?
Because so from the example, the discount 10 baht, and it doesn't affect the demand very much.
Right. But what is interesting here is, what if I ask you further? If you consider the discount, is it true that between this rice and also rice and phones are, I mean, the absolute level of discount is 10 baht equally, right? But when you consider the percentage, that 10 baht is actually like about 20% of the price of rice. But the 10 baht here is just like 0.033, which is like a very tiny bit, right? Well, you can actually compare between 20% and 0.033, which I think is like what? Well, almost like 100 or 1,000 times, right? It's even like almost 1,000 times, right? This discount, like this huge difference in discount, like almost 1,000 times. But when you look at the demand change, 20 units, which is 20%, and the demand of phone changed by just 1%, which basically means that the demand of price changed by 20%, like just 20 times of the change in demand of phone. You see the difference here, right? The difference in terms of price, like price change is like huge, like 1,000 times. But what happened in the demand is just like 20 times difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, which essentially means that suppose that I discount the phone for the same amount. Let's say I discount it for 20%. The number should be greater than 20, right? I mean, the number of demand that increased should be much greater than 20. Because I changed just for 10, it increased by 1. If I increase the discount by 1,000 times, it should not be 20, right? It should be much more than that. Are we clear?
Yes.
Right? I mean, I want to make it so clear here, and I really want you to understand it, right? Because, okay, let's suppose that we follow the same logic as we've analyzed so far, okay? And this is not 10. Suppose that you say that this is like somewhere like 20%. So this has to be like I think 50. No, sorry. It's gonna be 6K. Right? The discount is like 6K to make it 20%. Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think if the discount is 6K, how many units that the phone will, I mean, the demand of phone will increase? Given that if the discount of 10 baht, we have one more purchaser. It is now 6,000. How many more products of iPhone we should be able to sell?
600.
Maybe, right? Or even more, right? Yeah. So it basically means that, and suppose this is 600. Suppose this is 600. Then this is going to be what? 600%, right? It's not 1% anymore. It's 600%. So basically, it means that if you have like 20% discount, the same 20% discount, the demand here will change for just 20%, but the demand here will change for 600%. So which one is more elastic? More sensitive to the change in price?
The iPhone.
Yes, right? And this is actually something that we derive here as well, right? Because here we have just one, which basically means that, okay, per each unit of change in price, the demand will change by equal level, right? It's going to be 1 as well. But for here, you say that for each unit of change in price, the demand will change by like 30 times or so, right? So that's essentially say that this phone is super elastic. And what's the implication here? What's the implication here? Which market is more competitive? What do you think?
The phone market.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, this is so competitive in the sense that it's also through the other way around, right? If you increase the price just a little bit, demand will fall so substantially. So in economics, well, the thing is this: in economics, we believe that if the magnitude, or this is actually has to be minus, right? Because you reduce the price, but you increase the demand. So essentially, this one has to be negative value, and this will be -1 essentially. But let's ignore the sign for now. If the magnitude of it, or if you study mathematics before, if the absolute value of it is between 0 and 1, if it's smaller than 1, you can call that this demand is inelastic, right? It's inelastic. But if it's greater than 1, like this 30, okay, even 2 or 3, you say that that product has an elastic demand. It's elastic, right? It's sensitive because you change the price just a tiny bit, the demand change hugely. And most of the time, this is a good reflection of the negotiation power and the competition level within the market, right? Because if consumers have choice, what happens is just exactly like this, right? I'll say, yeah, I'm gonna buy you more, and if you reduce the price, I'm gonna just switch to buy something else. But if you increase the price by 20% and people would just still need to buy you, then it basically means that elasticity is really bad, right? It's really low. It's so inelastic. And that essentially means that the competition level in the market is low. Are we clear in terms of elasticity of demand?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, you can read all this. And the whole reason is this. Why do we need to have this elasticity demand? The first thing is that it makes sense. The second thing is that it allows us to compare across all possible products, right? Because everything is calculated in percentage. Because iPhone have like unit, right? Or you can calculate something in kilograms or whatever, and the price could be so different. And the change could be, as I said, 10 baht for iPhone and 10 baht for rice are just essentially different, right? So you don't want to do that. I mean, you want to compare apple to apple, and by sort of converting them into this sort of percentage change, you would be able to see the sensitivity or the elasticity, and you can actually say that the elasticity of rice is lower than the elasticity of phone, right? You turn things to be comparable, and you have this sort of like objective standard that you can say, regardless of the nature of industry, saying that okay, this is inelastic, and it basically means that the market is not that competitive, right? You don't have to look at the context. I mean, you have to look at the context, but this stays a lot. All right, are we clear? So here's the formula of it, right? The price elasticity of demand, which basically means that, well, what will demand change in terms of percentage when the price change? This is essentially what we did above here, right? And this is what I said. When the value here that we derived earlier is greater than 1, it means that it's elastic, right? Because just one bit of change in price has caused like a greater change in terms of proportion in the demand, right? It's changed by 1 unit, but it might change by greater than 1 unit. It basically means if you change the price, people would switch, or people would come and join you. All right, it's sensitive in that sense. But if the value is smaller than 1, it basically means that if you change the price for 1 bit, the quantity of demand will change by a smaller magnitude, less than 1. And there are so many factors that determine, yeah, I mean, there are so many determinants of these elasticity, like, okay, is there any substitutes available out there, right? Because if there are so many alternatives, like, yeah, if you increase the price of iPhone by this, I'm going to switch to Samsung. Then it basically means that you would expect that elasticity will be high, right? Because let's say that iPhone increased the price just by a tiny bit. Well, some Samsung remains at the same level. People will switch to Samsung. Your income level will determine that as well, right? If you are getting richer and richer, it basically means, or if people in your country is become richer and richer. When you change the price of certain product, people will be changing their demand less, comparing to the situation where people in your countries are poor. Level price, definitely, right? You change like 10 baht from the original price of 100, or you change 10 baht from the original price of 1,000. This makes a difference, and that is why elasticity makes sense, right? Because you change the original price, you change the percentage of the change as well. A postponement of consumption. What essentially it means is that if you decide that if people decide that they want consume now, but they will consume in the future, it basically means that if you change the price now, you increase the price, they may find that, okay, I will just wait. I'll just wait into the future, and I won't buy it now. Or another thing that matters as well is the share in total expenditure, because now iPhone, right? 30,000 is roughly like could be 10% of your income, right? And but this like just one dish of rice would just be like a very tiny proportion of your income, and a change in price, that 10% would matter if it accounts for quite a huge amount or large portion of your income, but it would be less matter if it is accounted for just a smaller amount of your total expenditure, right? So there's so many factors that would determine your elasticity. Okay, you can do the same for different products as well. Like say, what if the price of MS increase? What would happen to demand of Chanel? Right, because Chanel is essentially when you talk about Chanel and you want to know, okay, if you increase the price of this Hermes and the demand of Chanel would change quite substantially, what you can say is what can you say when you prove that the elasticity of demand in Chanel is really high to the change in price of Hermes? What is the implication of this conclusion? What is it?
So the elasticity of MS will affect the elasticity of Chanel?
To a certain extent, but what is the implication like in real world when you have this number? You say that, wow, the change of price in Hermes actually affect the demand of Chanel. What does it mean?
That there is a competition.
Yeah, exactly. Right? These two products are basically substitutable. But if it is the other way around, that you say, okay, I approved already, looking back 10 years, whenever the price of Hermes increased, the demand of Chanel has never increased at all. The elasticity is super low. What's the conclusion from that message?
That there's no competition between those two brands.
Exactly, right? So this is the way that we use elasticity in practice. When you pursue real cases, this is a really important piece of evidence that you say that, well, actually we're not competitors, right? Suppose that Hermes want to buy Chanel, this will be a very like a golden piece of evidence, claiming that I'm not buying my competitors. Consumers consider us as like just a totally different products, so I'm not reducing competition at all, right? This is so important because in practice people use this to make argument. You can use income as well, right? But this is just it means that basically when you're richer, right? It say that your income increase, people buy more of it or not. This is good. This is useful in economics, but when it comes to competition, you can't. You might be able to use it. And for example, you say that your price, your product is pretty much luxurious, and if you buy another company, then what would happen is that you would be able to attract more high-income consumers. And essentially, if you can attract more high-income consumers, the demand for that product would increase as well, right? So that would be the beneficial for the another firm. For example, that is possible as well. So this concept is something that you can actually use, right? And some other elasticities like advertising, elasticity of demand. You can say that, okay, for each unit of advertising that I spend, how much percentage of demand that I can generate from that, right? So or price elasticity apply, saying that, okay, what if I increase the price a bit, how many units more supply that the firms is willing to produce more, right? So this is possible as well. Okay, so I think that is pretty much the demand side of something that I really want you to understand. For the next class, we will learn about the supply, and now we talk about the market, right? We talk about markets and how markets would be how would we be able to essentially draw the market, and how would we say that this market is competitive? How we say that, okay, these are competitors and these should be categorized as the players within the same market. That's sort of things that we will explore next time. Any question?
No.
Everything is clear as the day.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we need to revisit our economics lecture.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Just let me know then afterwards. I mean, but this is essentially what I want you to understand. I mean, at least intuitively. Okay. I don't think all economic graduates would even understand this. So don't feel the pressure. But I think it makes sense that you go back to the really root of it. So you sort of know the the foundation of it, and then you in the long run it's going to be really useful. All right. Okay. So I'll see you next week at the same time then. If there's no question.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. I'll see
See
you.
you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Bye-bye.
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ